The latest Rough Ryder Reserve. I saw this on Brian Wilhoit showed this one. I thought, man, I gotta grab that. Let's get it out of the box. This is going to be a very quick look at everything. Just want to get this one out of the box. You know, metal tube, Rough Ryder Reserve, big one. Wow, that is a big box. A pretty cool sticker. Let's go here. This is the latest, one of the latest knives from Rough Ryder Reserve. I actually asked about this because, Rough Ryder is going back to, man, this is really tight. Am I going to get it out? Rough Ryder is going back to RIDER, but for the foreseeable future, the Reserve knives are going to remain RYDER. There's supposedly no plan to change it at this time. We'll see if that happens or not. But this is a Rough Ryder Reserve knife. So D2 blade steel. Got the cleaning cloth, which I'm beginning to use as a cleaning cloth quite often. And this is a big one, but it's a cool one. It is a Coke bottle, the traditional style of Coke bottle, also at one time known as a beaver tail, also just known as a Swell Center. It's a type of folding hunter, but this one is a lockback. And yeah, there were plenty of lockback Coke bottles a long time ago. The pattern, like I mentioned before, goes way beyond when Coca-Cola was around. So the knife was originally just a folding hunter, a Swell Center folding hunter. And man, that is a beauty. That is so cool. Man, love Coke bottles. I hope they do this with other handle materials than just the red bone, but I had to grab this one. I saw it come out and it's like, man, 30 bucks. That's a great price for this. I think it was 30 bucks. Look at the size of that. 5 1/4. Yeah, almost 5.5 inches. And very much a traditional Coke bottle or Swell Center, also known as a FiddleBack, also known as a beaver tail, but just a fantastic knife. So I'm happy to have that one. I will be doing a review on that one soon.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias.
About as quickly as SMKW announced this knife, I had it in my cart and I bought it. This is the Rough Ryder Reserve 048 Coke Bottle. And as you can tell, it has a mid-lock there. This is a locking Coke bottle knife. And I saw this and it's like, I've got to grab that one. And I went to the website and I was blown away by the price. I mean, they were selling this, it's a Rough Ryder Reserve, for $30. I don't get it. That's almost the price that you would expect from some of the newer Rough Ryder knives. But this is a Rough Ryder Reserve. As you can see on the back side here, D2. It is using D2 tool steel. It isn't using 440A. And this is a big knife. And as you can also tell, it locks. How big is it? Well, let's compare it to a trapper real quick. That is your standard 4 1/8 inch trapper. Here it is next to a Granddaddy Barlow, 5-inch Barlow. So this knife comes in at 5.5 inches. It is the same size as the regular Coke bottles that you get from Rough Ryder, but as you can tell, it doesn't have the bump on the top here. So this is a more traditional Coke bottle. This is the way they were originally. This pattern has been around forever. Been at least as far back as 1830, these knives are being made, including locking mechanisms on them. Yeah, there was actually locking Coke bottle knives like this as far back as 1830, 1840. This is not uncommon. But later on, I think Case decided to add the kind of a copperhead bump there so that you don't have the little portion sticking up there. I actually prefer it this way. I like this. This gives you that true Coke bottle frame. And as I mentioned, these go back to 1830. So long before there were Coke bottles, there were these knives. This was originally just known as a Swell Center Hunter, and the nicknames it typically had before it became the Coke bottle was either a fiddleback or a beaver tail. The beaver tail, basically because of the back end of the knife here, especially if it was a barehead knife, then it was known as a beaver tail. And if it had the bottom here, then it was typically known as a fiddleback. Nowadays, they're all called Coke bottles. I think that started really sometime in the 1920s or so. In any case, really big knife. You're talking about 5.5 inches closed with an overall length of right under 10 inches. Interesting enough, this knife also has a 5.5 inch frame. Let's close them and we'll see that. See there, both of them are about the same, about 5.5 inches. But because this one is squared off here and this one is rounded, this one actually has a little bit longer of a blade going on with it. So if we open them back up, the two Coke bottles, let's get them, boom. All right, we got them down there. You see that? Got a little bit longer of a blade. So this one comes in right at 9.5, 9 3/4 inches. This one comes in right at around 9 7/8 of an inches overall length. So even though the blades are roughly the same length, this one is a little bit longer simply because of the shape of the blade. And notice how this one is much more pointy. This one is a little more swept upwards, so you're shortening the blade there. This one also does not lock. This one locks. Really good mid-lock going on there. And it does have a half stop. I don't know why, but it does have a half stop. Yeah, not a strong one. I'd say it's a lazy half stop going on there. Look at that wonderful grind on that. You got the long pull going. You got the swedge up there. Really nicely made. And you got the beautiful strawberry jig bone going on here. Nicely pinned. Looks like nickel silver pins. Looks like nickel silver liners going on. I might be wrong. It might be stainless steel. I'll have to look, but it looks like nickel silver. Yeah, nickel silver bolsters. Double lined. So double ring nickel silver bolsters. You got the bomb style shield going on, which is typical of the newer Rough Ryder Reserve knives. Nicely pinned. Oh man, beautiful bone there. Look at that. If you're in the red bone, you're really going to like this one, I think. And just a beautiful blade. Nice satin finish going on. Really, yeah, it's just a gorgeous knife. And as a person who really likes Coke bottles, this one nails it. So this is very typical of the earlier Coke bottle knives before they decided to put the copperhead style top on there. And like I mentioned, these go back to around the 1830s, including locking mechanisms such as this on there. This is not uncommon. So you're looking at a design that is almost 200 years old. And it's just a gorgeous knife. I do have a couple other knives I'd like to compare it to. I will start with a modern era copy by GEC. This is my beaver tail. Notice the difference in sizes. That's because the beaver tail comes in at, I think, 4 3/4 inches or so. So a much smaller knife. This is also a gorgeous knife. Very light pull on the beaver tail. A very light pull on this knife too. You see the difference in size there. Both of them are gorgeous knives to me. This is in 1095 carbon steel. You got brass liners. You got the beaver on there. That's the cool thing. Beaver tail etch. If you like the etch, you're going to like this knife. You're also going to pay about $300 for this knife now. So $300 versus $30. When this knife first came out, it was right around 110 or so. Here's another knife I have. This was by Case. I don't know how much this was when it first came out, but this one also typically goes for somewhere around $150 to $200 now. And it is also a Coke bottle, but a much skinnier one. This one's right at 5.5 inches long. And if you notice, it has a long, skinny spear point blade. But let's see here. Size-wise, about the same, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so shorter. The blade length is about the same, but the handle is a little bit shorter. So there we have that one. This is a special order one, and you can see there's 0 of, I think there was 1,000 of these made. That's number 188. And finally, my most treasured of the Coke bottles, yeah, more so than even the one by GEC, the beaver tail, is the one from Colonial. This is a Colonial fish knife, Coke bottle knife, and you can see here it is also shorter. Let's get them, boom, about 5.25 inches, which is typical of a Coke bottle actually. Somewhere between 5.25, 5.5 inches is what they used to be all the time. Again, nice clip blade going on, and another clip blade. Blade lengths on these is about the same again. As you can tell, 1095 carbon steel most likely in this one. This, like I said, from the 1930s or so. And this is a fish knife as well. So we've got that going on with it. But this one has a very strong pull on it. Strongest of any of these. This one, the Rough Ryder Reserve, the pull on this is probably right there around 3 or 4, but who cares? I mean, you open it all the way up and it locks, so you don't have to worry about blade failure. Closing it, it's got a pretty decent snap. It has a, as you can tell looking down in there, it does have the lock bar or stop bar going down on the bottom. Catches right there in the sharpening choil. So you don't have to worry about any possibility of blade wrap. It's going to stop right on the stop bar down there. If you can look into there, you can see a couple pins coming through. So that is the pins for the bone. It is pinned in place, at least partially pinned in place. I don't see every pin come. Oh, nope, there it is. I can see it. Yeah, it's nicely finished in there. Hard to tell, but it does appear that it is pinned all the way through. The shield is not pinned, it is just glued in place. Very strong positive lock. You got to press down hard, and then it will close. It just really good action though. Nice tight blade, smooth finish all around, and a beautiful strawberry bone. I really like this. This is just a gorgeous knife. And it rivals my USA made ones, no doubt about it. You know, it's taking advantage of all the modern technology to get everything right. These, you know, handmade, or at least mostly handmade, which is pretty cool. But this one, oh man, it is so thin too. This is a really great knife. And quite frankly, I know a lot of people like this bump here for carry purposes. This doesn't really catch that much in the pocket as far as I'm aware of. I guess it might be tearing into your pocket a little bit. But quite frankly, this just doesn't look as sleek as this one does, especially when you get that blade open. That knife is just gorgeous with the blade open. Yeah, oh, and that is such a great blade shape. It is like the quintessential Coke bottle knife. They brought it back to life from, you know, 200 years ago. That's all I can say. And for 30 bucks, the price on this is unimaginable. $30 for this knife. I can't believe it. In any case, stick around for some slides. I'll talk to you again soon.
Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.